Right, welcome to day two. Slightly less jet lag, feeling a little bit fresher than yesterday. So yeah, today loads on. Got some new electronic group sets to check out. A random manufacturer I'd never seen before. They've got an electronic group set, check that out. Sensah's new electronic group set. Magene, I've got some electronic group sets as well. Gonna see Farsports, their new wheels on show. Loads of stuff, so let's crack on. So behind me is the group set manufacturer I'd never ever heard of before. Ningbo Suyu Transmission Technology, clearly a Chinese manufacturer, and they've got, yeah, a wild looking electronic group set, so let's check it out. From first impressions, it does look quite similar to L-TWOO's ERX version 1. The buttons are the same, the shape of the brake lever is the same, even the rear derailleur looks very similar. So potentially they use similar manufacturers, I'm not entirely sure. But this is the front derailleur here. It's it's quite tall, that's for sure. And it uses USB-C charging. Yeah, quite a chunky thing, it's got to be said. And yeah, these are the shifters, very similar to, yeah, L-TWOO's original ERX design. So this is the rear derailleur, and again, does a very reminiscent of, yeah, L-TWOO's ERX group set. Slightly more angular, you could say, but certainly similar. Maybe they used similar suppliers. But yeah, I'll have a quick go with it. It looks like it supports, this is an 11-speed cassette and this is a 12. So if, yeah, this rear derailleur can support this one, because what's this? 10 to 51 tooth. So if it can support that, that is pretty bonkers. Here it is in action. They got this setup. And again, yeah, just like L-TWOO's ERX, the buttons are so similar. So this is front derailleur. I mean, yeah, it works. It is quite a monstrous thing though. I don't think I've ever seen a front derailleur that's so tall. But yeah, it all seems to be working. So similar, let's give the rear derailleur a go. So yeah, shifting seems relatively smooth, but again, the key with electronic group sets, it's got to shift well under power, right? And that's not something you can test on a stand like this. I mean, everything's functional. You'd expect it on a stand when it's on a booth. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's pretty exciting. Good to have some more options in the market. Whether or not this will come to the UK, who knows, and whether you'll be able to get it on AliExpress. I assume it's probably primarily for the Chinese domestic market. Apparently, it's still in kind of prototype development. This is the kind of first version, as it were. They're looking to sell it in the next couple of months. It's going to be available worldwide, allegedly. So apparently, like the likes of me and you will be able to buy it. Yeah, whether or not it'll look exactly like this when it comes to selling, who knows? But yeah, it will be available, which is pretty cool. Oh, and also no word on price at the moment. I did try and press them, but it's not available. And a quick look at the brake calipers here. They do look quite similar to a lot of the ones you find on AliExpress. Again, clearly it's quite a prototype version, right? But still exciting to see, right? I did notice these as well. These are clearly mechanical shifters, very similar to the micro shift, the older micro shifters as well. But I mean, clearly not the PF80 is that? So here they are in the flesh. Yeah, very, very similar to the micro shift design. And yeah, like I said, there was a micro new set that I looked at that were kind of dupes. These are almost identical. Well, they are pretty much identical. So maybe they're just using the same supplier. I guess it's similar to the fact that that electronic group set looks a little bit like the L-TWOO shifters. Maybe that's just the case. That shifter for the electronic group set, so similar to the original ERX. Same with the rear derailleur. So they clearly use similar suppliers. Whether that's an IP issue, I have absolutely no idea. Same with those micro shift looking brake levers, just so similar. Interesting though, yeah, I'll wait to see if it becomes available on AliExpress. They swear it will be. Again, no word on cost for that electronic group set, but hopefully the likes of you and me can get hold of it. That front derailleur though, that was chunky. Anyway, let's crack on. Right then, Wheeltop behind me. This is another brand I was quite keen to check out. I did look at their Wheeltop EDS TX wireless electronic group set for road bikes before. I wasn't honestly super impressed with it, so I want to see if they've made any updates. They got some really interesting carbon cranksets on Wheeltop. They quoted me $100 a piece for these, but I'm not sure if something got lost in translation. But yeah, they do look really nice. And I noticed these as well. So they've got a whole like radio unit that they've worked on as well. So right down here, you can connect that up to your helmet and chat with your mates or your like ride mates in the peloton or whatever as you're going along. I mean, this is quite common on motorbikes and stuff, but yeah, cool to see Wheeltop actually working on this like natively for road bikes. And they've also got a line of cycle computers as well. Presumably everything syncs up, but yeah, these radios, really cool to see actually. Okay, pretty interesting over there at Wheeltop. I couldn't record because it was so loud, so I'll get some B-roll to put in over the top. But the Wheeltop EDS TX group set that I originally looked at seems pretty much unchanged, at least physically. They had a really nice looking 4-piston caliper though in flat mount and post mount variety, so new brake caliper options is always good. And they had TT shifters as well, which linked up to the EDS TX rear derailleur. So it all looked good and it all functioned fine on the stand, which you'd expect, to be honest with you. It's a stand at a show, right? But the Achilles heel with the Wheeltop stuff has always been the app. It just wasn't particularly intuitive to use, and I covered this in my review. Just difficult to navigate. The menus don't make a lot of sense really, and I don't think it's changed since I looked at it. But I hear rave reviews about the Wheeltop stuff. A lot of people have some really good things to say, so I think I'm gonna have to give that Wheeltop EDS TX group set another bash. I'll get it put on another bike build and give it a go, because I mean the stuff, it does look good, it functions well. So yeah, maybe it's time to give Wheeltop another chance. Okay, I'll record out here because it's a bit hectic in the Magene booth, but basically they've got the QED group set and the PES. So the QED group set came out last year, I believe. It looks really fantastic, and the price for that currently is 4,000 RMB, which equates to about $550. The PES, which I think was released at this show actually, or at least it was released very recently, that retails for a little bit less, so 3,200 RMB, which is about $440. But the kicker right now is that they're only selling them in mainland China, so those prices are, yeah, the mainland China price. They're looking to sell outside, kind of worldwide, end of this year, early next, and they've not finalized prices for those. So I assume they'll be a little bit more than those, maybe sort of $650 rather than $550, around there. But from my understanding as well, even if you do get hold of a group set from a reseller, I think they're region locking them in the software right now. So they really want to make sure they nail it on the Chinese domestic market before selling worldwide. I think I'd love to get my hands on them. Really, really premium looking, very kind of Ultegra Dura Ace-esque in their design. I mean, that front derailleur is so tiny compared to that kind of prototype one I saw earlier this morning. But yeah, really, really premium. I mean, the QED, the slightly more expensive version, that's got carbon brake levers, whereas the PES has got aluminium. And there's some other differences, like a monoblock brake caliper on the QED versus a two-piece on the PES. But overall, yeah, they look really, really lovely. I had to play around with the shifting, nice and quick, nice and rapid. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get hold of a set. Hopefully it'll be later on this year I can get one on a bike, but if not, like I said, early next year. So fingers crossed I can get hold of one soon, because it looks wicked. Also, a couple of extra bits before I forget. So you can swap on those the shifters. The ones on the stand were all hydraulic disc brake, but apparently you can swap out for rim brake on either the QED or the PES, which is really interesting. So yeah, there'll be disc brake and rim brake versions for both those group sets. I asked that you can do 12 or 13 speed, so they're limiting it to those two. And I think they said the largest cassette you could run currently was 32, but they're kind of working on it, and maybe for the kind of worldwide release, it'll be a bit of a larger range. But yeah, super interesting. Cannot wait to get my hands on that thing. Okay, right here at the OG-EVKIN booth, I met Henry, and I've got the boss here, Kin. Yeah, meeting all the head honchos here at OG-EVKIN, which is really cool, really nice guys. So yeah, like I said, I've used the OG-EVKIN stuff for a little while. I initially came across their frames on AliExpress. So this is the long frame. This is a new colorway they've got. So this is kind of a metallic blue. I'll get some B-roll. It's like a lovely mottled effect on here. Yeah, this is their kind of racy frame, nice and stiff. Like I said, I've done a video on this with a build video on this frame. This is a color they've offered for a little while. It's like, again, mottled, like purple color. It looks really, really lovely. And then they got another one at the back there, which is kind of their race livery. So they were telling me they're kind of sponsoring a couple of teams. They've got a lot of Chinese teams, and then they've got an Argentinian team that they've just started sponsoring as well. So yeah, really cool to see. They're not only just like developing the frames, they're also race testing with teams, which is not something you usually see with these kind of smaller brands. Now, I did face some issues with one of their bars. It was the Turbo X bar. It was this one right here. And I mentioned it in a video. Essentially, there was a slight issue I had with the way that the actual stem clamp here clamped on to the steerer tube. So it had a tendency, well, it needed over torquing basically, because I think the recommended torque spec on these was 6 Newton meters, and you had to do them up a bit tighter than that, which wasn't ideal. So I had a chat with Henry about this, and he, yeah, apparently they fixed it in the latest batch. I've got one of these new ones that are fixed at home, so I need to test it myself, but allegedly they've sorted this out, and they've done some work as well on the headset. So yeah, he kind of took this apart and showed me. They did some additional work on it to kind of ensure this gap here was nice and tight, because it was slightly larger than you necessarily want. So they've tightened that down as well. So yeah, it's really interesting that they're just making improvements based upon the kind of stuff I say and the feedback I give, which is, yeah, wild, but again, just really cool to see. Okay, one of the other new bits they got on the show, that they showed me these new wheels that they're selling, apparently selling quite well in Korea from what they've said. So 50mm deep, 23 internal, 28 on the external. So yeah, relatively standard. I think the weight they quoted was 1,315 grams for the pair, which is pretty lightweight, and retail on those was $800. So yeah, pretty reasonable. And that's kind of like what drew me to OG-EVKIN in the first place. So one of the first frames that I bought was the CF025. I think that thing was $380. And yeah, on this long frame, for example, you can get this and a set of handlebars for I think around $800, maybe $900. But yeah, essentially really reasonably priced. And another thing, which I've not actually seen before, which is quite cool. So they've shown me these latex molds. So this is part of the molding process. So you can see, in order to keep the inside of the handlebar smooth, they use this latex mold in here over the mold and then pull it out once it's done. So quite cool to see the way it's manufactured, because I often wonder how they do the inside with a bladder. But yeah, this is the latex, well, these are the latex molds they use. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. OG-EVKIN, really cool to meet Henry and the boss man, which was great. But yeah, I do really like OG-EVKIN. I mean, I've been riding their frame for a couple of years, and they do listen to feedback, and they're kind of making changes, which is really good, kind of cooperating with me on seemingly making a better product, which is wicked. Anyway, let's go and see what else we can find. Right, so as you're probably well aware, Joe and the Panda Podium team, there it is, yeah, they kind of brought me out here and they're putting me up. So yeah, got to give them some props. And rather than just a natter about Panda Podium, I want to show you Joe's bike, because honestly, it's absolutely bonkers, such a custom machine. For starters, the weight of this thing, right, the headline item, admittedly, it's a small frame, so I need a slightly bigger variant, and he slammed the stem as well, so no spaces there. But yeah, 5.83 kilos for this thing. Farsports S6 Evo wheels, carbon spokes, and he's got a cheeky custom colorway as well. So he's really good mates with yeah, the people over at Farsports. So yeah, he managed to cop himself a custom colorway for these wheels, and obviously Sidebike crankset. And this thing is really cool for those that don't know, because basically you've got a carbon spider, and you think the actual teeth are carbon as well, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you. They're aluminium, so you get the kind of benefits of both super light and aero characteristics of this type of chainring, but you still got the durability of yeah, aluminium teeth on the outside. Even the saddle is absolutely bonkers. So kind of regular lightweight road saddle, maybe, I don't know, 150, 180 grams, something like that. This one is 65 grams, obviously solid carbon, but it's got a little bit of give and some other really cool little custom touches. So these are the lightest bar end plugs in the world. These are from a company called Overfast, carbon fiber bar end plugs, and a little insert in there to kind of keep the color scheme matching, and Overfast carbon fiber through axles as well. So yeah, just bonkers attention to detail on this thing. But yeah, Joe sells all that stuff on Panda Podium. I guess it kind of sounds trite, but he genuinely does ride the stuff he sells. He's a super genuine guy. So yeah, please do check out Panda Podium. I'll put a link in the description. And yeah, again, massive thank you to Joe and the team here. Right, so Toopre. I almost felt like this kind of brand, this logo was a kind of a perfect combination between Park Tool and Toe Peak, actually. But regardless, it might be a name you're very familiar with. I certainly am. These tools are all over AliExpress, and I've got loads of them actually. I've got one of their spoke tension meters, I've got one of these bottom bracket wrenches, I've got one of their torque wrenches as well, and I've even got this, which is for kind of cutting steerer tubes as well. They're genuinely really good tools, really well priced as well. So yeah, like I said, find them all over AliExpress. Most of the stuff is full aluminium construction. You've got a bottom bracket press here with literally every kind of bearing standard you'd want, with the nice cups there. Again, this is all CNC'd aluminium. Another bearing press there, bottom bracket cups. They've got, well, this is for cutting hydraulic hoses. They've got bleed kits here, literally a whole plethora, whatever bike tool you could ever need, really. Toopre do. I've used their stuff a lot. It's all really good value and all really well made as well. So yeah, I guess a recommendation from me. If you do see Toopre stuff on AliExpress and you're looking for some bike tools, definitely go for it. It's decent stuff, at least from my experience. Okay, interesting stuff at the Sensah booth. I got the lowdown on the group set, and yeah, let me give you the tour. It's quite SRAM Red-esque in its design. I'll quickly show you. So shifters especially, you can see here. So one of the things with this is that on Shimano hydraulic shifters, the actual master cylinder is placed vertically, hence the reason these aren't particularly high on the hoods. They've changed the direction of the master cylinder, so it's horizontal in the shifter hood, which should mean the brake lever feel is really responsive because you need less of a pivot mechanism inside here. So it should feel nice and tactile on the braking. They've also got these absolutely bonkers looking skeletonized calipers, which are pretty cool. And one of the main, I guess, features of this group set is it's a 14 speed. So it's only one by, and it can take up to an 11 to 46 tooth cassette on there, which actually apparently it fits on a standard 11-speed Shimano HG free hub. So yeah, it's only 14 speed currently, and they're working with this supplier, Sunshine, which again is a name you might recognize from AliExpress. I've certainly bought plenty of Sunshine cassettes in the past, but yeah, only one by, and it does run an 11 to 46 tooth cassette. They gave me a quick demo on the bike back there. Shifting seemed to be good, it seemed to be snappy, and no issues getting it up into that larger sprocket either. Now again, quite like SRAM, it's got a single battery in the back right here. They wouldn't actually let me take any footage of the battery itself because it's still under development. They had a kind of a 3D printed model that they showed me, but you can see the two contacts in there, and I had a look. It's going to charge up by USB-C, but yeah, because it's only one by, you only need a single battery in the back. I guess one other thing to mention, they told me they're focusing only on 14 speed at the moment. So even when this is released and available for public, you won't be able to do anything other than a 14-speed cassette, apparently. But I gave the guy on the booth my contact details. I said, as soon as it's available, send me one. So yeah, I guess watch this space. He wouldn't give me a price, unfortunately. And yeah, they're currently focusing on the Chinese domestic market. It's not even available to buy yet. I think they're going to get it available for the Chinese domestic market later on this year, and then they'll roll out worldwide. But yes, unfortunately, I can't get you guys a price. But I mean, hopefully it's going to be reasonable. Certainly looks good. But yeah, like I said, very SRAM Red-esque, that's for sure. Okay, right, so I've made my way over to the Farsports booth. Got a lot of time for this company, actually. Whenever people ask me to recommend them a set of wheels, if they can afford it, because I mean, they're not super premium, but they're not super cheap either. But Farsports stuff, bulletproof, and it's kind of the brand that I recommend for those that are maybe a little bit cautious. So I asked the lady here, what's new, what can you show me? And the first thing she pointed me to was their new X4 gravel wheels. And much like those Goosen wheels I looked at yesterday, they use aramid fiber spokes, but Goosen make their own spokes. These guys use Bird spokes, which are an American company, BERD. And I quizzed the lady about whether they're looking to use those aramid fiber spokes on a road wheel, right? Because with those aramid spokes, it gives a little more compliance, a little more kind of flexibility and vibration dampening into the wheel. They're not planning at the moment anyway to move that over to road. And that makes sense in my opinion, because with a road wheel, especially a deep section carbon one, they're built for stiffness, right? And when you've got spokes that are potentially a little bit more flexible, kind of, not why would you bother, but like, is it really the optimal use case for that? And it's interesting that Farsports don't seem to be going down that route. So they also got my wheel set that they sent me on the stand here, the C5 Von2 wheels. So yeah, they're kind of slightly more entry level wheel set, if you will. So cost on those is $1,055 for the pair, and that's including shipping. So not incredibly expensive. And like I said, the quality on the Farsports stuff, in my experience, is absolutely bulletproof. The width on those as well is pretty cool. So I think it's 24 millimeters on the internal, which for a more entry-level wheel set, yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, they're designed specifically for 700 by 30C tires, maybe 700 by 28, but yeah, if you're looking for a wheel set and you've got about $1,000 to spend, the C5 is definitely the ones I'd go for. They also showed me these new bars that they're kind of debuting. They're the F1 ultimate bars, and the design of them is really interesting actually. It solves a problem which I've personally had with a couple of handlebars. You can see on a normal set of bars, like these ones here, you have stem clamp bolts which kind of bolt it, kind of squeeze it onto the stem, right, with these two bolts. And often, if you over torque these, or you're a little bit too liberal with your Allen key or whatever, you can crack them right here on the carbon because there's a lot of pressure going right there. On this design, you can see they've got rid of it. So there's kind of grub screws at the back, and it fixes onto the kind of stem via a clamp at the back, similar to, I suppose, what you'd get on like a C-clamp bolt. So yeah, really interesting design. I have a lot of time for this. I think it's a little bit more bulletproof. So yeah, I'd love to get my hands on a set. I think they weigh about 270 grams, and they're coming in 80 to 140 millimeters on the stem. No word on pricing actually, because this isn't actually released. So they're gonna release towards the end of the year. So unfortunately I can't get you a price on these, but yeah, really, really cool design. Would love to get my hands on a set. Kind of difficult to get it across on camera because it kind of warps it with the lens, but they do have a flare as well. They're kind of designed to be a kind of middle ground between road and gravel, because you've got a little bit of flare on the drops there. But yeah, these are really cool. Not really my wheelhouse, but they also showed me a new TT disc. Their Ultimate Flying UFO. Yeah, it looks wicked. And the weight is pretty bonkers though. I think it was 920 grams on that thing. Again, not really my scene. But if you're after a wicked looking TT wheel, that's the one, I reckon. I've got a lot of time for Farsports. They're really good at customer support, really good working with the likes of me as well. So yeah, do check them out. Right, I just stumbled across, yeah, I'll see if you can get it here, the Sidebike booth. So yeah, these shoes, I personally ride. I've got 2 pairs of them. Let me show you which one. So you might recognize these ones here. I've had this particular pair of shoes for about 3 years, nice carbon sole. So yeah, these ones I picked up about a month or 2 ago. Yeah, they're super lightweight, so kind of a mesh exterior, carbon sole on there, really kind of lovely looking carbon actually. And these are 220 grams each. So yeah, really lightweight. So that's what, 440 grams for the pair. And I think on AliExpress, I picked up a pair for 100 quid actually. Compared to the super lightweight shoes from the likes of Shimano and what have you, these offer some really decent value. And the durability is bonkers as well. Like I said, that pair back there, I've had for over 2 years. Yeah, still riding them actually. So if you do see, yeah, Sidebike on AliExpress, I can definitely recommend them. Right, I think that about wraps it up for day 2. Picked up a little bit of swag, which is always good. Yeah, I think one of the most interesting booths was the Sensah booth. That group set does look really interesting. Hopefully they'll be releasing that kind of to the worldwide market soon. But yeah, thanks again for sticking with me. I really tried to hit loads of booths today, but you just get bogged down in all the details, like checking out all the stuff, nerding over it all. So yeah, again, big thanks to Joe and the Panda Podium team. Again, super nice of them to host. They've been absolutely amazing as always. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Ciao.